Let me tell you something most people never say out loud. Falling apart doesn't always look like shattered glass. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it's a laugh that feels just a little too forced. Sometimes it hides behind the words, "I'm okay." When in reality, you're nowhere near okay. And the strangest part? Breaking on the inside is often invisible. The world rarely notices when it happens. But to the person living it, it feels like the ground is caving in beneath their feet. Picture this. Someone smiles at you across the street, waves, maybe even cracks a joke. But what if I told you that in that exact moment, their inner world feels like a collapsing house? That's the paradox of breaking inside. Quiet on the outside, deafening within. And here's where psychology begins to uncover something we hardly ever talk about. See, our minds are wired for survival. We build walls, coping patterns, masks. We construct versions of ourselves that look strong, capable, unshaken. But behind those walls, pressure builds. Every unspoken word, every silent disappointment, every broken dream becomes another weight pressing down. And when that pressure reaches its limit, something inside quietly cracks. Psychologists call this emotional dissonance. It's when your outer life doesn't match your inner reality. And it's one of the most exhausting states a person can endure. But here's the heartbreaking truth. Breaking inside doesn't always happen from one giant tragedy. More often, it's the small things. The text you never received. The apology that never came. The promise you kept that no one else honored. Tiny fractures in the soul, repeating, until one day you realize you don't feel like yourself anymore. And here's where the story gets even more haunting. Because when people break inside, they don't always fall apart. Some keep functioning. They wake up. They go to work. They laugh at family dinners. They send emails. They post pictures. Life moves forward. But psychology reveals something remarkable here. It's called the masking effect. It's when people suppress their true emotions, not just from others, but even from themselves. They convince themselves they're fine. Until one day, the mask grows so heavy it feels impossible to carry. Now maybe you're wondering, why does the mind do this? Why don't we just show what we really feel? The answer lies in something psychologists call social conditioning. From childhood, most of us are trained to hold it together. Don't cry in public. Don't look weak. Don't let anyone see you struggle. And while that conditioning helps us survive in society, it quietly teaches us to abandon parts of ourselves. We trade authenticity for acceptance, and without realizing it, we lose the language to express what we truly feel. That's why breaking inside feels so unbearably lonely. It's not that people don't care, it's that they don't even see it. But let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that when you hold back tears for too long, even the smallest things can make you want to cry? Like a stranger holding the door open, or a random song on the radio. That's not weakness. That's called emotional spillover. The mind can only store so much unprocessed pain before it leaks into unexpected corners of life. And here's the twist. Those leaks are signals. Signals that the breaking inside is reaching the surface, begging to be seen, begging to be acknowledged. Now let's create a loop here. Because you might be wondering, if breaking inside is so silent, how do we even recognize it? How do we know when we, or someone we love, is going through it? Hold on to that thought, because I'll return to it. But first, we need to explore something even deeper. Why the breaking itself can sometimes become the very turning point of transformation. Here's the paradox. Breaking inside hurts, but it also reveals. It shows you the places you've been avoiding. Psychology calls this the rupture repair cycle. In therapy, it means that breakdowns, when faced with honesty, can lead to deeper connection. And the same is true within ourselves. The break shows us where we've carried too much, where we've been dishonest with our own needs. The pain itself is information, your mind's way of saying, something has to change. Think about this. When a bone breaks, doctors reset it so it can heal stronger. The same principle applies to the human mind. Breaking doesn't mean you're weak. It means the old structure can no longer hold. And while that feels terrifying, it's also the moment when something new can finally be built. But here's the catch. It only works if we pay attention. If we dare to listen to the break instead of hiding it. So let's return to that earlier question. How do we recognize the signs of breaking inside? Psychology gives us clues. A sudden loss of interest in things that once mattered. A constant emptiness. Irritability that feels out of proportion. Nights where sleep won't come. Or days when you sleep too much. Alone, they seem small. But together they draw a clear picture. And if you've recognized yourself in any of these, pause. Take a breath. It doesn't mean you're broken beyond repair. It means your soul is asking for rest, honesty, and release. But here's the deeper loop. Breaking inside often disguises itself as strength. The person who says, "I don't need anyone," may secretly crave connection the most. The one who laughs the loudest in a crowd might cry the hardest when they're alone. Psychologists call this reaction formation, a defense mechanism where people display the opposite of what they truly feel. And once you see this, you'll notice it everywhere. The brave face, the endless jokes, the calm demeanor. Sometimes they aren't signs of joy, they're shields of survival. And here's where the shift begins. Because if you truly understand this, breaking inside stops being a silent prison. It becomes a language through which your inner self says, "You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to hold everything together all the time. You just need space to be human." But let me leave you with one final thought. What if breaking inside isn't the end of strength, but the beginning of it? What if the cracks aren't flaws, but openings for light to enter? Think about that. Because people who've been broken often carry something rare, a depth, a wisdom, a resilience that can't be learned any other way. The truth is, breaking doesn't mean you've lost. It means you're transforming. It means the pain is shaping you into someone wiser, softer, and infinitely more alive than before.